Hey everybody, Brett from AstartesGaming here, back with a top 10 video. Today we'll be looking at the top 10 reasons why you should be excited for Warhammer 40k Inquisitor Martyr. So if you're not familiar with Inquisitor Martyr, it is a top-down action RPG game similar to like a Diablo type game that is being developed by Neocore Games, the same guys who did The Incredible Adventures of Van Helsing. And I know we've had a lot of Warhammer 40k games out recently, some of them better than others, obviously. I'm really excited for this one, and hopefully after this video you guys will be as well. I think it's got a lot to offer. It's doing a lot of things differently than a lot of the other 40k games out currently. And it fits nicely into a genre that we haven't seen a whole lot of lately, and so I'm excited to get into a top-down action RPG. It's been a long time since I've played any, and frankly, it's been a long time since there's been any worth playing. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump into the first entry on our list. Alright, so number 10 on our list is the awesome graphics. The game looks fantastic. I think it really does the Warhammer 40k universe justice, and frankly, all the little details throughout the environment look great. The character models look great. And the game is just nice to look at. We see examples of this in like Space Hulk Deathwing. That game looked fantastic, but obviously it didn't offer a lot beyond that. And as we'll see later in this list, the game does offer quite a bit, but it sure is nice to look at too. So it's a good thing that the graphics do look so nice. Otherwise, number 9 on our list would not be nearly as fun. And number 9 is the gratuitous violence. As you'll see in the video going on in the background, boy do things get bloody and gory in this game. Regardless of what type of weapon you're using, things will get messy. You can see limbs and various other body parts being shot off of enemies. The hit detection does, take into account where you're landing these things and blows off the according parts, or if you hit them with a big enough weapon or hard enough, they will blow off all the parts. And there are quite a few really, really awesome kill animations that you'll see. Here they're going through the different hit detection areas, and you can see there the Hellbrute getting his arm shot off to disarm him. And so these things are not only like, really entertaining to watch in a morbid sort of way, but they also do have an effect on gameplay, because you are shooting the gun out of an enemy's hands, or shooting the hands off an enemy gun. But yeah, it really does matter, and so entertaining and functional, that's always nice to see. Alright, so coming in at number 8 is the huge variety of toys that we're going to have access to in order to blast apart our enemies with. Throughout all the different gameplay trailers and videos that are out currently, we get to see quite a few different weapons being used to maim, kill, or otherwise incapacitate the various demon spawn, heretics, and Xenos that get in our Inquisitor's way. And so whether it be heavy bolters, regular bolters, plasma cannons, plasma guns, power swords, storm shields, take your pick. It looks to be a very, very nice selection of weapons to choose from. And depending on what class you decide to use, obviously you will have better efficiency with some rather than others, but certainly plenty of things to choose from in order to take out your enemies with. So one nice addition to the game that we haven't seen in a lot of 40k games lately is number 7 on our list, character creation. Not a lot of games in the 40k set in the 40k universe lately have allowed us to have any sort of character customization, really. Usually it's either an RPG where you're playing as a predetermined character, or it's a strategy game that doesn't really focus on any specific characters, or if it does, they are pre-existing characters with their own backstories and things. And so it's nice to sort of be able to create your own. And in this game, they'll allow you to do that through the choice of 3 classes with an additional 3 subclasses within each one. They're sticking to the Holy Trinity as far as classes are concerned, where you have your tank, your DPS, and your support. Because this is a single player game with co-op added or sort of like tacked on to it, I don't know how that's going to play out. Obviously a support character is going to struggle in certain situations. or a tank will struggle in certain situations if he doesn't have anybody to deal damage for him. But we'll see. I'm sure they're going to take balance fully into account, so I wouldn't concern yourself with that too much. Very quickly, the three different classes are the Crusader, your tank, the Assassin, who's your DPS, and the Psyker, who is like your support character. All three of these guys should be able to take damage and deal it just fine. Obviously, some will do it better than others, though. The Crusader, being the tank, will have the option of either like a power sword and storm shield, or the auto gun and missile launcher that you're seeing right now, or additionally a heavy bolter and plasma cannon, depending on whether you want to be the tankiest you can possibly be or be able to soak some damage and give some back in return. The Assassin you can build as a melee DPS or more of a ranged sniper DPS, depending on where you want to be in combat. And then, of course, the Psyker will have a huge variety of psychic powers to use at his or her disposal, to smite their enemies. So at number 6, we have the Smart Cover System. Depending on what types of weapons you use, this may play more or less of a role in your game. But obviously, if you are a ranged character or facing ranged enemies, this is going to be a huge thing, because this is available not only to the player but also to any enemy AI as well. And so the game is automatically going to detect when you're behind something that could function as cover, whether it be a wall or some barrels or maybe a little blockade, and it will allow your character sort of to take position behind that and mitigate some damage coming your way because of it. It will also allow you to stabilize your weapon and fire it more accurately. This is more the case for the heavier weapons, such as like a heavy bolter, but it could come into play with like a standard bolter auto gun as well. But yeah, it's definitely going to add more to the range combat, especially as a melee character. Your concern more is going to be how to overcome that cover and get to the enemies behind it as quickly as possible, whereas a ranged character will be more concerned with how do I get this guy out of cover, or how do I destroy the cover with him in it. So how do you get your enemies out of cover? Well, that's number 5 on our list, the Destructible Environments. So just about anything and everything in the game world that you'll see is completely and totally destructible. Now, how easily they're destroyed is going to depend on a couple of factors, namely, what is the object you're shooting at, what is it made out of, and what are you shooting it with. Obviously, plasma weapons are going to tear through a concrete barrier more easily than a auto gun might, but the auto gun will slowly chip away at the cover, whereas, a plasma gun is just going to engulf it entirely. And so you're going to want to pick and choose your weapons sort of accordingly. If you are planning on maybe using that cover yourself after you've cleared the enemy out of it, blasting it with a plasma cannon probably isn't going to be the best idea, or throwing a grenade at it. You might want to, rush up and dispatch the enemy in melee first and then take the cover for yourself, or try to snipe him out of it with a ballistic weapon so that you don't completely obliterate it. Now, if you don't care, go right ahead, use your plasma cannon as you see fit and just demolish everything. But that's completely your option, and it's a very nice option to have in this sort of game. So tying it back to the environment, at number 4 we have the open world setting. We really haven't seen a lot of open world games, if any, in the Warhammer 40k universe. Originally, Eternal Crusade was being billed as sort of like a third-person shooter MMO type game, and I think a lot of people were disappointed with it when it didn't end up being that like MMO type game. It just became a standard lobby shooter, and it's pretty rare that we get to sort of run around freely in a 40k universe, or even just a small 40k setting. And so that's something I'm really looking forward to, because in books and games and stuff, you get to see pieces of what this world is, what it might look like. And so having a game that actually lets you kind of go out and explore that type of universe, I think is going to be really interesting to just see, like, how does this stuff work. You've heard of hive worlds, but what do they actually look like? What is it like to actually be in a hive world or a death world? You know, they sound terrible, but have you ever actually gotten to sort of walk around freely on one? Not that I can think of. I mean, some games might let you, you know, kind of like work your way through a little theme park level in a Death World type setting, but to actually be on one and experience one in a game that lets you move around freely, I think is going to be a really unique experience. So another thing that we can look forward to in playing Inquisitor Martyr is an extensive main quest that's going to have some sort of storyline to it. And so we'll actually get some sort of interesting narrative going on here inside this open world. So while you do have the option to run around and explore to your heart's content, there is going to be something more guided and directed for you to do. And it's not going to be the only thing to do. We'll get more into that later. But if you're more the type of person like, for example, in Skyrim, I absolutely love Skyrim. I love being able to just run around and do whatever I want. But I know a lot of people that were sort of intimidated by Skyrim because they weren't sure at any given time what they were supposed to be doing. And so they prefer a more linear narrative. And some games offer that, some games don't. Some games restrict you to that, and some games don't. This game is going to give you that, but it's also going to give you an alternative. And you can sort of pick and choose at your leisure which one you prefer to do at what time. And I really like that. I think it's nice when a game can sort of cater to both sort of groups, or maybe bring the two together in a single game. I think that's smart. I think that's good game design, and I look forward to playing both ends of it. So on the open world end of the spectrum, we have the number 2 feature on our list, which is procedurally generated side quests. So if you're not feeling up to being like roped into a narrative, or you just don't want to be playing something linear, you want to have a little bit more open-ended experience, or maybe just jump in real quick to play a little bit and don't have the time to get through a whole storyline mission, you can do the procedurally generated side quests that are going to take you all over the place to, you know, different areas, have you doing different things, whether it be assassinating some major player in some sort of plot, or dealing with a group of heretics that are, you know, starting trouble on a planet somewhere. The game is going to give you a pretty good variety of stuff to do, and as we'll get into in the next one, it's going to offer you a lot of stuff to come back to. So finally, at number 1 on our list, we have the almost endless replayability that this game is going to offer through all the different classes and subclasses, the huge variety of weapons and armaments that we have, the extensive main quest, along with near infinite possibilities of the procedurally generated side quests. This game is going to offer you plenty of content to keep coming back to over and over and over again. And because of the nature of these random procedurally generated side quests, you're almost never going to get the same thing twice. And so even if you want to keep playing as your same main character for as long as you're playing this game, rather than re-rolling as all the different classes, you can keep getting different side quests pretty much indefinitely. I mean, this thing's always going to have something for you to do. Eventually, you're going to start seeing the same places, maybe a little bit more frequently, but the places, the people, the things that you're doing are never going to be the same twice. And so, for me, I love this type of stuff. It's what keeps me coming back to like Mount and Blade Warband, because just the sandbox nature of it, anything can happen. Yeah, the setting might be the same, the characters might be the same, but the story is always going to play out differently. The events are always going to be, you know, playing out differently. And so to have a game with this much of an open world, this much to explore, this much to do, and to have it be able to continually generate new stuff for me to do over and over and over again is just fantastic. And I can't say enough how much that excites me to basically have this game that if I wanted to, I could play almost indefinitely. And so hopefully you guys are a little bit more excited about the game now. After checking out all the various trailers and stuff, I was really excited, and that's what drove me to make this video. If you are familiar with the game at all, you've been following along too, and you have other things that you think are worthy of being on this list, feel free to let me know in the comments. If you have any questions about these things, feel free to ask them in the comments, and I'll do my best to answer them. I am not a dev of this game, nor am I an expert on it, but I have done my research, and so hopefully I can answer those things for you. But otherwise, thank you guys so much for watching. I had a great time making this video for you, and I look forward to seeing you back here for the next one.